And it is Sunday, and we are live. Although I don't look like I usually do because I lost both power, internet, and my camera 10 minutes before I started. But I think we're pretty much here. So, welcome to my stream. And on my side here is Tim, Golf 5 Tango Mike. Actually, one of the YouTubers I started watching before I got licensed. So, welcome, Tim.
Well, welcome and thank you, and it's very nice to be here, Morten. And thanks for inviting me along on a Sunday evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was thinking we were going to talk a little bit about antenna modeling because I've seen you do that on your videos, and I've tried that several times, but I don't really actually have a clue on what I'm doing. So, but I've seen your videos, and it looks like you have at least somewhat of an idea of what you're doing when modeling antennas, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good fun. I learned what to do off Callum's videos, M0MCX DX Commander. So I've learnt my stuff from him, really. And it's just trial and error, a lot of it. But it is relatively simple once you start to do it. It's quite good fun. It becomes quite addictive. And I know some people, for example, say that you can't be too hooked up on modeling. That you need to be a little bit careful about, for example, not relying too much on modeling and look at the real world. But it's a good baseline.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good baseline. It gets you started on, okay, a low dipole compared to a high dipole. What's the difference? And it gives you a starting point. It doesn't mean to say you can't work DX on a low antenna, on a low dipole, for example. I have on a very low 40-meter dipole here. But it just gets you started. It gives you a baseline, in other words. Yeah.
And it gives you an idea on how the antenna will perform to some degree, and that's always helpful. Although you can just, I mean, the simplest way to get started is just build a dipole, but sometimes it's nice to see how that little bit more than a dipole antenna would function in a real or in a theoretical scenario before you go ahead and buy the parts and build it. So I don't know if you want to, do you have MMANA up and running and want to share your screen?
Yeah, I do. If I click, where are we? If I go to settings,
if you click
on
the
StreamYard,
present button, I think you can just press the
present button. Got it. Right. Got it. And share screen. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to open up. Where are we? Share screen. Right. Okay. Hang on a second. If I just go to entire screen, that should be okay. Right. So hopefully you can see my screen. You can probably see you and everything else happening there. That's not a good look. So we'll try and spot it up.
I'll remove that for a little bit. It is easier just to share a window, though, Tim, if you're able to do that.
Oh, right. Yeah, I can do that. If I go to stop sharing. Sorry, guys, we're doing this on the hoof here. Okay. So you're probably going back to the normal view again. Bear with me, folks. So we've got to present, and we'll go to share screen. Share screen, and then we go to window. Is that right? Just window?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. This is where it gets a little bit complicated for me. Which window do I do? Because I haven't got the
if you just share the MMANA window, I think.
Right. Okay. Right. How's that looking?
Let's see.
I've got the error there, and I don't want that one. Has it now changed to the other window?
As of now, you are sharing something, but nothing shows up on screen at my side, though.
I'll tell you what, it might be worth just doing the entire screen then, to be honest with you.
We can do that.
Is that all right? I'll do that. Yeah. So bear with me, guys. I hope you're all okay at home, by the way, and thanks for tuning in. We won't be long now. Right, so where are we?
While you're looking, you have another stream tonight as well, don't you, Tim?
Yes, I'm a busy boy tonight. Let me just do this. Yeah, I've got another stream with James, Amateur Radio UK, and also with Fraser, the Radio Rover, and Dave as well, Irish Ham Radio, and Chris, M0RFI Portable. I can't remember his call now, but it's going to be good fun, I think. Now, what can you see? Can you see?
Now I can see the two of us there, I think. Let's see what now. We're good now.
We're good now. Right, we're getting there. Yep. Right, let's go.
Yeah,
you can hear.
I think we're pretty much.
There we are.
pretty much at the right place now.
Good stuff. So let's say I wanted to draw a very simple vertical. Yeah, we'll do a dipole actually. So what we do with MMA, when you open it up, you get to this tab, and you've got lots of stuff. But let's say we just wanted to draw and go for it and just see what happens. So if I go to the top here, you've got the wire edit button, if you can see towards the top here. And when you click on that, hang on, we click on that, you go to YZ, and then what you've then got is like a blue thing, Z-axis and Y-axis. In effect, that's how your system will be set up. So if I go and click on the pen here, and then literally just draw, let's do a vertical actually, start with the vertical. Now, that vertical is 20 meters long. So we're going to change that to say, let's go to 5 meters long.
Yeah.
So we've now got a 5 meter long vertical. That's all we've done so far. Very simple. Just drawn a little line in the middle there. And when you click on it, when you click on OK, this is what you've got. Now, the one thing this antenna hasn't got at the moment is a source. Now, the source is where you feed the antenna. Now, let's say, for example, you wanted to feed it at the end, like an end fed or vertical with ground radials. All right. So if I right click on that, move and add source to, I always get this bit wrong. I think it's the end of the wire. No, it's the beginning. I always get this wrong. Move and add source to the beginning of the wire. And what we've then got, you can see, is a little white. If you can see that there's a little white dot at the bottom. And that is basically where you're feeding the antenna.
Yeah. So what we got now is a quarter wave for 20, a vertical, right?
Yeah. Or a half wave for 10. Doesn't matter how you want to do it. It could be either of those things. Now, if you go up here to calculate, we'll change a few things. We'll, for example, we're going to say that the antenna is on the ground. So we've got no lowest point of the antenna is at 0 meters. It's on the ground. It's ground-mounted antenna. And we'll use real ground. So, we incorporate a little bit of loss. And let's just say the material we're using is just copper wire. And let's have a look at it on 14 megahertz. Now, if we go to start, see, we can adjust the length for SWR. I go 1.9 to 1 SWR, which is kind of okay, isn't it? And what we can then
it's still usable.
It's pretty usable. But I tend to look at these more to do less with the SWR, because SWR can be adjusted. The big thing is what I look is what's called the far field plot. And this gives us an idea about what sort of how this antenna is going to perform in terms of it being perhaps shooting its RF at different angles. So for DX, for example, we're looking at sort of fairly low angles of radiation. We're looking at coming off. If the vertical is like that, we want our RF to come off pretty low as a low angle to get sort of
but 3 to 8 degrees is ideal. Isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And I tend to use what Callum does. I tend to use 5 degrees. So as a baseline sort of thing. So what we do, if we go up to the top here, we've got the far field plot. Now you can see this is what we're presented with so far, and it looks like a typical quarter wave. All right.
Yeah.
And we can measure, there's 2 ways we can do this. We can measure basically what sort of performance this gives us at that sort of angle. So if we want to go click down here to elevation, and we can change that to 5 degrees, which is, as I say, that sort of angle.
Yep.
Being a vertical, of course, it's going to be omnidirectional. Now, as we'll see later, a dipole is different. But with a vertical, if you go around at the top of the screen, you've got a figure in dBi. All right? So this figure up here in dBi is going to be minus 6.9. That's going to be minus 6.9 literally all the way around. So basically, this is telling us at different angles, right, the antenna's in the middle, and right around the antenna, all the way for this vertical, we're hitting minus 6.9. Okay? Now, that's fine. And over here, this gives us a slice of the RF right in the middle on the right-hand side here, this right-hand diagram. And we can see, for example, that if we move it up and down, we've got at 175 degrees, that's 5 degrees off the horizon, minus 6.9. Now, we can, as we move this up, we can see what the gain is at different angles. All right. So that's what's doing. That's how it's working for us there as a vertical. Now, if we can add more radials to this. We can make it higher and produce like a ground plane vertical and draw some radials off that. That'll probably increase our gain a little bit more. But as a bare vertical ground-mounted quarter wave, it gives us about minus 6 dB, say. Let's say, though, we wanted to run a half wave instead. So if we go back into the calculate field again, like we are here, we can adjust this to 28.5, because 28 megahertz, whatever, because it's going to be a half wave there now. And when we click on start at the bottom, you can see our SWR has gone up quite a lot. And if you think about it, when you have a 49-to-1 transformer, this will bring our SWR down to somewhere around our quarter wave was. But if you go to the far field, and if we click on 5 degrees, which is what our sort of baseline sort of takeoff is, we're now at minus 5.1. So as a ground-mounted half wave, it tends to perform just a little bit better than a quarter wave, just maybe a dB and a half better.
And that's actually interesting. That is interesting, though, because most people think about a quarter wave as the ideal vertical.
Well, a quarter wave is very adaptable, but of course, with a half wave, you tend not to need the ground system you need with a half wave. You'll still get some return current coming back, but it won't be as much. The impedance is so high at that feed point that a lot of the current doesn't come back. So you don't need to have that sort of that screen on the ground in terms of radials that you would need probably with a quarter wave, because the current, don't forget that the feed point of a quarter wave, the current there is it's current fed. All right, it's a current fed antenna. With an end fed half wave, it's voltage fed. So with a current fed antenna, you're going to need to have that sort of screen of radials underneath to act as the other half of the antenna. With a half wave, a bit less so. Nothing wrong with running a couple of counterpoise wires if you want to, but bottom line is, as long as you can perhaps put an RF choke on the coax, say, I don't know, 2 or 3 meters from the feed point, 6 to 9 feet, then you'll probably get away with it, no problems at all with a half wave. On 100 watts, I've never had a problem with RF or anything like that with an end-fed half wave, personally, you know. So we get a little bit of gain there. That's a ground mounted. Now, not many people would run an end-fed half wave as a ground mounted antenna. Lots of people tend to put them up a little bit. So let's go back and say we increase the height up a little bit. Let's put another, even just a couple of meters on there. So let's say I'm using a 7-meter fiberglass pole, and again, ignore the SWI. It goes nuts with MMA and A for some reason. But let's say I'm using a 7-meter fiberglass pole, and I'm running a 5-meter long half wave on 10 meters, all right, which is what it would be. So the feed now is about 2 meters off the ground, hence the 2 there. Now, if we go to far field, you can see now we've got a slightly different pattern. And in fact, if we go to 5 degrees, remember we had minus 5.1 on the ground, it's now minus 2.7. So literally by increasing the height by 2 meters, we've gained almost 2.5 dB. And that can be with any, I say, end-fed half wave for 10 meters. That's about a quarter wave off the ground. So if you're doing this for 20 meters, you need to get at about a quarter wave off the ground, which is a challenge. But for the really higher bands, if you can get at a quarter wave, just under a quarter wave off the ground, suddenly you're producing some fairly decent sort of result there, really, at minus 2.7.
Exactly. So, and I got a question here from LB4FH Kjetil, and I got a feeling that this is somewhat rooted in real life, though. Yes, how it would be if you top-fed it and placed it about 600 meters directly above salt water.
So if you top-fed it,
we can model that.
So you top-fed it, so it actually goes down from the feed. It's 600 feet. I mean, it's going to do very well. I mean, it's going to do very, very well indeed. 600 meters.
Actually, he talked about that. He were doing a expedition, a soda expedition in Norway at the Pulpit Rock in southeastern Norway, and there's a cliff going down 600 meters to salt water. So,
tell you what, then let's have a look. So we should have a look at that for a laugh. So, right. So I tell you what, we'll move the art source. Let's just do it. Go to the end. All right. I think it matters too much. And we've got to calculate. So we'll stick as a half wave, shall we, on 28 megs?
Yep.
Well, adding height, 600 meters? This will be fun. Let's have a look.
600 meters. Yep.
Okay, then. Let's have a bit of fun. Let's have a look at the far field. Oh, wow. Look at that. Now, 5 degrees off the horizon. -4. You'd be worse. Work that out. I don't know. That seems mad to me because it's so high. It's so far above a full wave the pattern tends to do mad things, doesn't it?
Exactly. So
yeah, that's interesting, though, isn't it? That's oh, we've answered this question now. Have we done that?
Sarah, though.
Oh, just losing you, Morton. Try again.
The interesting little. And I can kind of. Here we go. Picture now. Can't hear you still.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming up. Can a doublet with ladder line be modelled? It was horrible to operate there.
Yeah,
there we are. We've confirmed. Can a doublet with ladder line be modelled?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. It can be. Bear with me. Let me show you what I've done. If you don't mind, I can have a look at one. Let's go into my files. 40-meter doublets lengths, and we'll go into no, are they the? Just bear with me. 20-meter long. Okay, so if we open that up, all right. So if you can see, hopefully you can see that. Okay, what we've got here is an inverted V doublet. So if I go into here, where are we? The ends are. Let's have a look. Where are we with this? Okay, this is a typical, in the UK and in lots of countries, I suppose, with small back gardens, we try and do our best with using pretty low doublets and dipoles, don't we? So this dipole, for example, if you look on this left-hand little box here, it's about 7.75 meters above ground. That's about 24, 25 feet at the top. And then the legs go down to about 10 feet off the ground. That's about 3.5 meters, probably a bit more, maybe 11 feet or something. So that's how I drew that particular dipole there. Now, what I was able to do, first of all, there's two things you can do with a sort of model. First thing you do is to work out sort of the patterns, if you like, on different bands. The second thing I was able to do, which I think probably relates more to the question there, is the fact you're able to have a look at the feed line and have an idea of things like sort of likely losses and things on that feed line, which is a different thing I can show you. So if we have a look at this particular example here then, and we're going to go on to, let's go to 7 megahertz, and we're just going to start this up.
Yeah,
you can see it's pretty good on 7 megs. It's 1.79 to 1. It's a 20-meter long dipole, so it's effectively going to be okay for 7 megahertz as a sort of half wave. Now, if we try to look at this as a DX antenna, well, we're going to be disappointed in many respects because the thing is barely a quarter wave above ground, but less than that, barely an 1/8 wave above ground in total. So we can see how small a little circle goes on. It's minus 11.4. But having said that, it's still only 6 dB down on a vertical. So, for example, I've got an even more compromised antenna than this for 40 meters. It's a dipole. I've got feed in the middle with the RG174. It comes down, it's bent around, and it's a real compromised antenna. It's on a fiberglass pole, which I've arrowdited the sections together, so it's permanently stuck together. And but if you get on the air at the right time, I mean, I went on the air, say, at about 6 o'clock in the morning. I just got up early one weekend, and I just went on the cluster, which isn't always a great thing to do, I know. But I went on the cluster, and I realized that there were some stations working, European stations from the Caribbean and North America. And I thought, I'll just jump on and have a listen. Now, because the noise floor was much lower at that time of the morning, because people weren't on their devices at 6 o'clock on a Sunday, whatever it was, and a lot of other stations were still in bed, effectively, I was able to work these guys. That probably wasn't very strong to them. But if you time it okay, you can work DX on a compromised antenna like this. I mean, it will work. You will work DX with it. But yeah, so I mean, if we look at this, I mean, this antenna, look, it's a cloud warmer, what we call a cloud warmer, isn't it? It's going to be really nice for about 500 miles or so, about 800 kilometers. It's going to do you a nice job. I mean, within the UK, we have something called inter-G propagation, which is basically within a couple of 100 miles. It's much more prevalent now because of the high sunspots. It tends to give us a lot more stuff to play with short skip on 40 meters. So it works well for that, But let's say then if we try and
I noticed that I noticed that you guys use 40 meters a lot in Britain with each other because it's just a short skip over to me, so I'm pretty much hear all of it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Whereas I would actually have figured that it's a little bit too close for 40 meters.
Right.
Great for you.
But I think Norway. Norway's one of those countries where we do quite well. Norway, Finland, Sweden, the Scandinavian countries are only just a bit further on than sort of Germany. Denmark, of course, is right across the border from Germany. So we tend to do pretty well in that sort of area. So yeah, if the skip goes a little bit longer, then we tend to hear Scandinavia pretty well on 40 meters. So late afternoon is a good time for that. So let's say we're using the same antenna. We're now feeding it with ladder line to try and make it a multi-band antenna. Let's check it out on 20 meters, 14.15. Now, the SWR, we can largely ignore that, as we'll see in a minute. But if you look at the far field plot, because it's still relatively low, we can see it's gone a bit mad because we've got 9.2 minus 12. Again, not great on 20 meters. But if we look at it on 10, where it's a little bit higher as a factor of a wavelength above the ground, that's a bit of a mad sort of plot there. If we go to 5 degrees, see, you can see we've got these lobes developing and these nulls. So you can see, right, because basically the antenna is going right across from Y, right across there. No, hang on. Is it going? No, it's actually going. No, yes, it is. So you've got some lobes and nulls. So you've got, for example, here minus 2.8, which is actually better than a vertical. But then we've got these nulls right in minus 12. So the antenna wouldn't be a disaster on 10 meters and probably on 12 and 15. But the higher up we go, or the lower down we go, I should say, in frequency, because it's lower to the ground as a fraction of a wavelength, the more it'll be a bit of a cloud warmer, really. But, you do what you can do, don't you? That's just how it goes, So
exactly.
Indeed.
And I got a little bit of some technical issues here.
Okay.
I don't know what has stream and go back again, though. I can see your comments. I'm not able to put them up on screen for some.
You seem to have disappeared. Okay, no problem. Well, you're still with me, folks. And hope you're all okay there. I'm sure Morten will try to be back with us in a moment. I can't see the comments at the moment, guys, so I do bear with me. We're just trying to see. Oh, he's back. Hang on. He's trying to get back with us. So we lost Morten. Yeah, Jeff, we did.
Yeah.
Hi, Morten.
I'm back now. Yeah. Let's see if I. Things start to working here now. So
that's good. That's good. So, was there anything in particular you wanted me to look at? I've been doing some stuff with comparing half waves and 5/8. I did a video on that a few weeks ago on 10 meters where I did that.
Yeah. Actually, what I see though. Yeah, maybe the viewers have some. I thought that doublet question was really good though, and it's really interesting to see that the lobes on the doublet are as good as they are though.
Yeah, on the higher bands, because it's only just. I mean, it's 7 meters above ground, which is 3/4 of a wavelength above ground, which is okay. I mean, the thing is, for a 10-meter dipole, you've only got to get the thing up about 16 to 20 feet. 5-6 meters, and it'll do really well for you. I tell you what we can do. Actually, I tell you what we. Go on.
Fans of Walt here, as if we could model a Rybakov.
Oh, well, it's funny you should say that. Yeah, Walt and his Rybakov. He loves his Rybakovs, doesn't he? Have I got any of Rybakov? Hang on. He does. Well, he's done, and there's a couple of guys trying them out now. They do work really, really well. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's do that. So
yeah, I got one myself, and I can't get to work for anything. Mine is a really poor antenna, so
really?
I look into the Rybakovs. I see a lot of people talk really great about them, but I can't get.
You've not had any success
for anything.
Okay.
No, not at all.
Well, let's have a look. So a Rybakov's about 7.8 meters long, I think.
7.6, I think.
7.6. Let's go 7.6. And we're not looking so much here at the we're not looking so much here in terms of the sort of the ground or anything. We're just having a look at the far field with this. So 7.6 meters long. So let's have a look. So let's try it on. Let's go down to 10 meters, up to 10 meters first of all. Hang on a second. I haven't done that right. Hang on. Okay, there. And I've got to add a source, haven't I? Hang on a second. Yeah, got to add a source to this. Beginning of the wire. There we go. Right, here we go. So let's try it on 10 meters. Now, on 10 meters, don't worry so much about the SWR. It's actually about a 3/4 wave on 10 meters. And if you look at the far field, initially when you think of this, when you look at a 3/4 wave, this is about a 3/4 wave pattern. When you look at the 3/4 wave, the first thing you think is, oh, crikey, that looks a bit mad because you've got these really high lobes up here. And you're thinking, well, there's not much happening down here then, is there?
Yeah.
Because if you're looking for DX, for example. But actually, that's got a bit of an optical illusion because if you then... sorry, hang on a second. Oh, hang on. It's gone a bit mad. Right. So if we then change that to 5 degrees, remember our ground-mounted vertical is about -6. Our end-fed half wave, a couple of meters above the ground, is about -2.7. Well, this is -3.2. It's actually a decent little performer, really. So technically, in terms of the actual the gain you get with this as a 3/4 wave, you get a nice gain. You know, it's just the fact you've got these really high lobes up here, but actually down here, you can see it's -3.2. It does a good job. If we try it on 12 meters, I think on 12 is actually... Go on, sorry. On 12?
Go ahead, 12 first.
Say again, Morden?
Yeah, just go ahead and show 12 first, and I'll ask my questions after.
Okay, mate. I'll do 12 meters, and we can see 12 meters at -2.4. Because on 12 meters, 7.5, it's something like about 5/8, I think, on 12. That's a nice looking pattern. So on the high bands, it does well. The key to a Ribikov, and we'll look at some, if we take some questions in a second. The key with the Ribikov is you've got to make sure that, first of all, you've got a decent ground. So running a single counterpoise is okay. But if you can put down maybe a bunch of radials, that will help a lot more. The other thing is as well, because it's non-resonant, you do want to try, if you can, and put the tuner as close as you can to the feed point. It's the same with the 43-foot verticals a lot of the guys, especially in the States, use for 80 meters through 10. You've got to make sure you've got the tuner at a point where it's not too far from the feed point. You have to rely on lossy coax to bring, before you get into the tuner in your shack. So even if you're running this portable, which a lot of guys I think do, you want to make sure you don't have a run of more than, say, 15 to 20 feet of coax if you can get away with it. In fact, I usually try to run this when I'm at home with this. I do use this now and again at home. It's a slightly shorter version in all fairness, but any non-resonant vertical, a non-resonant antenna, if you can have the tuner as close as you can to the feed point to negate those coax feed line losses, that would be good because it'll sing a lot more if you can do that, But it's a nice antenna on those higher bands for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen you actually on your videos use your tuner on the roof of your car when going out mobile. Do you notice any kind of performance improvement from having the tuner inside the car?
I need to do more testing. There's no doubt there is a performance. There has to be. I mean, I think with I probably wouldn't use about 4 to 5 meters of feed line with the tuner in the car. So there would be, I think, an improvement there. In fact, let's have a look. So, I mean, if you want to, there's another little program I use called Transmission Line Details, which is a nice, simple little program.
Yeah.
Which you can use, which will actually allow you to...
Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, I just have one question before we let the Ribikov go, though. If you make the Ribikov a sloper, how would that perform?
Ooh, right. So... Let's
say, because most amateurs in Norway use a 6-meter mast. So if you make it a sloper on a 6-meter mast, let's say you can put the high point about 5 meters above ground.
Sure. Let's try that. So, what do you mean? The high point to be 5 meters above ground, then slope it down to
high
the
point
floor,
about 5 meters, sloping down to the ground.
Got you. Okay. Right. So if we say that that's going to be at 5 meters, and then right. Okay. So where are we? Let's see if we can move this across to here. And where's our height here? Our height is that 5 meters? Okay, it wants to be a bit longer, doesn't it? So that's 7.6, we said, wasn't it? Length.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's that height? That's going to be, we need a bit more of a slope on this then, don't we? So let's go like this. What's the length? No, 7 points. So the length's going to be too much, actually. 7.6. Hang on. And how high is that going to be? Oh, 5 point. Well, it's about 5 point. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at this. That's going to be, yeah, it's about just about 5.2 meters. If that's okay, so it's going to be 5.2 meters above ground.
Yeah, that's close enough.
That's close enough. So let's have a look. Let's try that again on. Let's go to 10 meters. You see, there we go. So, effectively, we've got a bit of a difference here, haven't we? If we've got to 5 degrees, if we go to 3D far field, we'll just make this a bit bigger. Now, where's our antenna? It's sloping there. So if you just make this a bit right. So the antenna, the top of the antenna is up by the green bit up here, Z.
Yep.
And it's sloping down to here. So you can see that when we have high amounts of gain, it's in reds and pinks, and low amounts is in blue. So you can see that actually what we have, where are we? Yeah. So we have a greater degree of performance, if you like, coming off the slope. So if I just come out of there for a minute, if we go back to here, so I'll move this across here a bit. There we go. So effectively, we have more RF being generated in the direction of the slope. Sort of, so if the antenna is sloped sort of that way, it's in the direction of the slope. So we do have a bit of an advantage, a bit more of an advantage going in the direction of the slope, and a bit less going back the other way. So if we go back to here again and recalculate that, and if we go to 5 degrees, yeah, we've got here, basically, we've got minus 11.2, minus 5.9. Yeah. So effectively, in the direction of the slope, we're at minus 5.9. At the back of the slope, if you like, we're at minus 11.2.
Yeah.
So there is about a 5 dB front to back in this situation. It doesn't look like it works as well as a sloper, to be perfectly honest with you.
That probably explains my issue with the Rubikov, though. So I need to get a bigger, a longer pole to make it work properly.
Yeah. I have got an idea for a Rubikov, which I was hoping to do tomorrow, and I might not be able to. I'm not sure yet. And the idea I've got is to use that same length of wire, say 7.5 meters, whatever it is, and have it mounted on the roof of the car. I'll just use a normal little mag mount, SO239.
Yeah.
And then have one of these. Oops, can you see that? Hang on. Get the right one. Where is it? There we go. LDG 4-to-1 Unan, which I've recently just got. And what I've gone and got with this is not just the Unan itself, which is what you'd use a Rubikov, by the way. Most people use 4-to-1 Unans with Rubikovs. So we've got the 4-to-1 there. And also got myself a pair of, and these are double male PL259s. All right. So you've got a male connection that side and that side.
Make you a little bit bigger here.
So, okay. So this would basically mate itself into the SO239. Sorry, it's got thanks more. So let me just show that again. So they've got the 4-to-1, and then the idea is it's a double PL259. Where are we? Trying to get my bearings here. So it's a double on both ends. You've got a double male. There we go. So you screw it into the 4-to-1 like I'm doing now, and that would then basically
Yeah.
go into the mag mount. And then you wouldn't need an
Mag mount
earth.
on
You
the
just
car.
basically, the mag mount. You'd run the wire off the hot. You've already got the earth because you've got the mag mount running. So the car would be a ground. And I'll have us going up to a pole, be a gentle sloper, very gentle sloper. That'll go up to a height of about 9.5 meters, because the car's about 1.5 meters tall, 1.6 meters tall, and that hopefully will enable me to run a Rubikoff sort of static portable, I suppose you call it, in the car. And I'd have the tuner initially in the car, but long term I'll have it the tuner, as I say, near the feed points. Sorry, like I've done with the other verticals I've used. Sort of portable, or mobile. So that'll be good fun. So I'm going to try that out as a sort of alternative. It means I don't have to put a lot of ground radials down, which should be good. So there we go. That's
that sounds interesting. I've done a lot of mobile operations through the winter, so we just got a Parks on the Air park, which is it's inside a 10-minute drive from where I live. So I've been doing a lot of activating from the car this winter. I see Henning here has got a question. An NFED half wave, 20 meters long, 10-meter mast. How much gain do you get for that? It'll be 45 degrees then.
So 45 degrees. Does he sloping down? Yeah, as a 45-degree slope.
Yeah, sloping up. I would guess.
Sloping
up.
I
would guess. I can see from his name, he's got soda at the end of it. So I guess it's the typical portable antenna, though, a 20-meter NFED half wave.
So that's going to be
from the
yeah. So I think that's going to be sloping down. Yeah, so that's going to be running up, and instead of going straight across, it's going to go down 45 degrees. So a lot of the guys in the UK run that. In fact, I'm not sure whether I've already got that set up somewhere. Hang on, let's have a look. Sorry.
And he says, is that sloping down? Yeah, he says it's sloping down. I usually keep my feed point at the ground, though, just because that's easier when running portable.
Yeah, got you. I'm sure I've done that. Sloper versus vertical. No, that's not it. We can draw it. So let's have a look. So we're going up 10. Let's just delete this. I'm going to do a new wire. So where are we? Let's go up 10 meters. We've got further than that, don't we? So 10. And then we're sloping it down. Let me make this a bit smaller. Where are we? Okay, and then we're adding another wire to this. And let's go down like that. So how long is that? That's 6.5 meters. So we're going to make that 10 meters as well. So effectively it's 20 meters long, 10 meters going up vertically. And right, let's zoom out back in a bit so you can see that. Right, okay. So I would imagine then, let's have a look. So that's going to be up 10 meters. Let's just double check. Hang on a second. Up 10 meters. That's 10 meters. Okay. Depends how much space this gentleman would have. But if we go 10, up 10, and slope 10, let's have a look. So let's try it, say, let's have a look at 40 meters. And let's have a look at that. So we got a nice cloud warmer. It's probably going to be as good as any dipole of that height. It is what it is. The height of it's at the very top of it's only about a quarter of a way above ground. It'll slope back down. I think the far end of the slope isn't quite at ground level with this. We can check where it is in a minute. But that's kind of how a 40-meter dipole would look like, and 40-meter NFED half wave like that. So it's a good cloud warmer, good for short stuff. I'm interested if it's like on the higher bands. 14.1. We'll try 20 meters. Let's try it at 5 degrees. Not bad. Minus 4.4, minus 5, minus 6. That's all right. Minus 7. So there's a bit.
Yeah.
Again, we've got a little tiny bit more gain in the direction of the slope, coming off that slope. But that's all right. It'll do okay. It'll do okay. Let's try it. It'll be 15 meters as well, won't it? With that, so we have 40, 20, 15, and 10.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at 15. Yeah, now we've got more of a pronounced situation. So you can
Yep.
see basically we've got all our gain coming off the direction of the slope. So we're minus 4.8. Very good. That's better than as good as a vertical, really. But once we get sort of level with the actual vertical bit itself, once you get behind the slope, we're minus 13. So it's very much favoring the direction of the slope on 15 meters.
Yep.
And on 10, finally, presumably wants me to check on 10. Let's have a look. Again, we'll try 5 degrees. Again, the slope is good. Towards minus 1.3, that's decent. Bit of a null there. And even behind the slope, we're still going minus 5. It's actually quite a nice antenna, really, on 15 and 10. You've got some nice gain with it, really. It's not bad at all.
Yeah. And considering that the higher bands are opening up, this would be a good portable setup, and just point it the way you'd like to go. I see Bert comments that this is still a little bit of black magic to him.
It is. A lot of it is.
And I see LB4FH here as the direction of the slope, as in towards the mast.
So if we look at this, this is your antenna, say. Let me just, if you can see that, I'll make that let me get a bit better for you. Hang on. There we go. So it's fed at the bottom. So the red one now I've highlighted there is fed at the bottom. So basically your slope is there. The majority of your gain will come off there. It'll shoot up from your sloper there and will go up towards that way where my cursor's going, right? Okay. That's where the majority of that gain will go. So behind here is where you might get some null, especially on 15 meters. It seems to me you get a nice directionality up that way, but on the behind your mast this way, away from where the slope is where you'll get a bit of a null happening by the looks of it. So there we go. That's
exactly. And I see Bert asks here why we're checking off 5 degrees, and that's because that's where you get your DX.
It's a baseline. You can check a 2, 10, whatever. But 5 is kind of an average figure, really.
Yep.
That's right. So there we are.
And I see that LB4FH asked if you can make that null out certain QRM rich countries. I guess you could do that.
I couldn't imagine which countries he means. I have no idea, of course. Speaking of which,
from Norway, let's say you pointed.
Go on, carry on.
Yeah, go. Yeah, from Norway, you'd point this with the backside facing east, so you'd null out the eastern stations, I think, or probably a bit of the southern stations as well. So,
yeah, I mean, if you want to, I guess for you guys, thinking of the geography, which I'm not very good at, is if you have the slope going down towards the States, because if you slope it westwards, you'd have a bit
about
more,
300
hopefully a little bit more, a little bit more for front to back. You'd be stronger towards the States and weaker towards the east of you. So I suppose if that's what you want, that's good. I mean, it's a bit like an L-shaped dipole as well. We got vertical dipoles fed in the middle. But if you run an L-shaped dipole, you'll get more gain in the direction of the L, and you'll have far less in the opposite way. So sometimes that's good, because sometimes you might have a neighbor who you've got issue with, maybe giving a bit of TVI to or something, a bit of interference. Well, if you can run an L-shaped dipole, you can run the L away from their property and probably be a lot better, have less light to interfere with their systems. So there we go.
And actually, this is really useful though, because this gives me some ideas for some antennas to try out now that the weather's getting warmer and the higher bands are warming up.
Absolutely, and we're spoiled for choice with the higher bands, really, aren't we? We can put a dipole up, you can put a straight vertical, you can put up a ground plane, a quarter wave. You don't need a lot of space, especially portable as well. So it's
exactly
really good fun.
And conditions have been great. I've been regularly having North America on Parks on the Air now for about a month or two with the hamstick operating mobile.
Wow. Is that 20 meters, Morten?
Yeah, that's 20 meters.
Brilliant.
That's kind of the golden band for portable use though, because you'll always find some stations there.
Yeah. Do they tend to be higher up on 20 meters, about 14.3 something? Is it that end they tend to congregate?
I tend to activate on the higher end of the bands though. a couple of weeks ago, the first station that got back to my CQ after about 2 CQs was from West Virginia.
Wow.
With a ham stick on QRP.
QRP. Oh,
So,
wow, that's really
yeah.
good. Those ham sticks for the money, you can't beat them, can you? You just can't beat them for the money.
Great antennas, and they're far better than their reputation.
Totally right. And and as I say, if you get in a nice spot, if you get by the salt water somewhere, right by the salt water, then they're about 30% efficient, really, on 20 meters. But you think that's terrible, but actually a decent vertical is going to be probably 80% efficient, right? You're not looking at much more than about an S point difference anyway, if you are looking at an S point. But if you put one of those 20-meter ham sticks right by the sea, then you aren't going to worry about anything, to be honest. You're going to be absolutely romping out. So you really will. Yeah.
I think that's going to be something to try out. And we both know a guy that likes to try out antennas by salt water, so we'll probably see that sooner or later.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, Mr. Rubikoff himself. Yes, exactly. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's brilliant. Oh, is there anything else you'd like me to have a look at on here, Morten? Anything else? Anything else?
Don't know if the viewers have any questions here. So let's see. I got a comment here about vertical wires near salt water is amazing, and especially for LB4FH Seattle here. He's on the West Coast, so he's got kind of good takeoff towards North America with the vertical. So that'd be really good.
Yeah,
but thank you, Tim. You probably got to go to another stream pretty soon. What time is that stream, by the way?
8:30. So listen, we'll finish whenever you want to, mate. That's absolutely fine. I'll probably grab a quick cup of coffee and do what I need to do before that one.
I just thought your stream was at 8, so at 8 your time.
It was going to be 8 o'clock. It was going to be 8, and then James thought, no, I'll take pity on him. I'll move it back to 8:30 just in case. So he has far more sense than me.
Yeah. So both of us moved our streams then to be able to have you as a guest.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. I mean, it's been really good joining you. Thank you very much, and I admire your streams. So it's very nice of you to invite me in. It's been great fun.
Although I had a bit of technical issues today with power and internet going out about 10 minutes before I was going to start. So I was
you've overcome them.
Panicking a little bit. Yep.
I was panicking.
You did well.
I was panicking because I had dinner. Our dinner was later than normal, so I was literally finishing my dinner at 6:55, and I thought Morten's going to be sat there waiting for me, thinking, "What the hell has happened to this guy?" So I'm glad that I'm glad it all worked out in the end. So that's really good. And you've got a lovely microphone, by the way. I have to say, your choice in microphones, Mort, is absolutely fantastic. Well done.
I'd say we've done pretty well, both of us.
Yes,
and it seems like the viewers enjoy the stream, and I got to try to model a lot more antennas now that I got a little bit of the basics in, and see what I'm going to run portable.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're going to find out how to model, then the guy I learned from Callum. So M0MCX, DX Commander, he's done quite a bit of stuff on antenna modeling. And literally, once you start to know how to produce a far field plot, how to draw vertical, how to connect, how do you make sure that it's fed with coax or whatever? Once you start doing all that, it'll become seriously addictive, and you'll probably spend hours and hours doing it. It's really good fun. And as I said to you earlier, it isn't the real world, but it does provide a baseline to show where things are likely to happen, because there's so many variables. We can never replicate the real world anyway. We can't do it, can we? So
exactly.
Yeah.
And let's see, Jeff's got a comment here that EasyNeck Pro version is now free.
Yeah, so that is a program I really want to get my head around, but that'll require probably in the summer when I'm quieter. I'll be looking to do that. But EasyNeck looks really, really useful, and it's probably a step up a little bit from MMANA. So that'll be my next challenge.
So just before you go, Tim, what's going on your channel at the moment?
It's been quiet the last couple of weeks. I've been really busy with life, as we all are. But I'll be hoping to go out, as I say, to try the mad Ribicoff idea in the next few days. I'll be running a bit of. I'll be doing some videos running sort of static mobile. I am looking to do a video looking at the efficiency of short mobile whip antennas, which I found fascinating in terms of the research I had to do for that. There's some really knowledgeable guys out there on the internet who have produced some fantastic papers and things on it. So I'll be looking to have a look at that. I'm just getting out there and having a bit of fun, because you said earlier, Mort, the higher bands are so good now. You just got to get out there and have a bit of fun with it. 15 through 10 is just, and the others, but 15 through 10 is amazing. You know, it's fun. It's great to hear them open as often as they are. It's fantastic.
I've noticed that 10 meters is now open from about sunrise till sunset, and that's amazing. Absolutely. So looking forward to
what I also
days.
saw. Yeah, and what I also saw as well is that the current SFI figure, which has been in excess of 200 again this week, is actually much higher than at this point in the previous solar maximum that we had 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's looking really promising that, fingers crossed, that this one we're entering now in the next 2 or 3 years is going to be much better than the last one. And in days of old, like I think the one in 89, 90 was going to be a fantastic one, of the late 80s. So if we have something like that, where 10 meters is open 24 hours a day, that would be a bit of fun, wouldn't it? My family will never see me, but still, it would be a lot of fun.
That'd
I won't get away with that, by the way.
This is actually my first solar cycle as a amateur radio operator. I got my license exactly at solar minimum, so
same here.
It's been quite a journey since I got licensed. Just a quick reminder to my viewers, I was hoping to give away a radio today. Didn't quite make it, but if you want to share my channel, please feel free to do that. And hopefully I'll get to give away a radio next week on my stream. And I'm also on Patreon. You can see the link down below right there. If you want to support my channel a little bit, no pressure to do that though. I'll be back next week with some kind of live stream. I've got nothing on the books as of yet, so I got to figure out what I'm going to talk about then. And there's a couple of videos coming out on Tuesday. I'll be dropping a video from yesterday's Parks on the Air activation together with LB4FH. We did a joint activation there, so be sure you catch that one. Just one last comment here. If we can all Fiberturn's house, fiber guys are around the house, so there will be more stable internet for me and better streams, hopefully by a couple of weeks now. But Tim, thanks for having me on. And where can I find the other stream you're going to be on tonight?
The other stream. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure to meet up with you and have a chat, Morten. Fantastic, and for everybody else who's joined in as well. The other stream is happening. It's actually, I think it might on. I'm not sure if it's on more than one channel, but it'll definitely be on Amateur Radio UK. That's James, who has just been in the chat actually. So if James just wants to put his hand up and say it's on my channel, then you guys can click on that. It'd be nice to have you all join, including Morten, of course. Everybody else. Yeah. If you could just join in and say hello, that would be brilliant. We're chatting about mobile operation. It'll be myself, but also Chris, I think 2E0 UKH will be there, who's also got a very good channel. And also you've got four other guys who are really, really into their portable, their SOTA, their mobile. And that's Chris, Dave, James and Fraser, who all got their own channels. So come along. There he is. My ears are burning again, says James. There we go. So come along, have a chat, and say hello, and show the guys some love. It'd be good to have you all there. There he is.
Yeah,
there he is. My ears are burning
sure.
again.
So
okay, brilliant.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for being on, and thanks to all of viewers. See you next week. 73.
Thanks.